Hey y'all, welcome to What's Up Next. I'm Demetrius.
And I'm Justine.
You are now tuned into our podcast where we take a deep dive into some interesting topics and everyday situations that we face as a young millennial couple.
For those of you who don't know us, What's Up Next is a play on my soon-to-be last name, but it's for sure a common phrase in our household. Anyway, let's stop talking and let's get into this week's episode.
Let's get it.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of What's Up Next. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. I just want to say thank you real quick to all of our listeners who have been listening with us since episode 1. If you haven't been listening to episode 1, thank you for tuning in whenever you had the chance to. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about some breakthrough and what that means, what is required of us as people in order to have a breakthrough moment. So I would say, or I pose the question to all of you today, are you willing to put yourself out of the comfort zone to allow for breakthrough? And genuinely think about that one and think about all aspects of your life, whether that's work, whether that's fitness, whether that's finances, whatever it may be, spiritual, what does that look like? So for me, I say that discomfort brings breakthrough and breakthrough brings change, right? So for you, Watts, since you're the only one I can ask and get an answer from right now, what does that mean for you?
I agree. And what it means to me is, or my sentiments towards that is, the breakthrough is definitely worth the discomfort.
Right.
Always. At least for me, a person who aspires to be better than I was the day before, I would have to say that it is worth it. And it is a mentality that I'm trying to get my mind to adopt, and really apply each and every day.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I was listening to a podcast, and if you guys don't know this podcast, it is called The 13th Floor. My mentor, Art Faison, is on it, and I was listening to their most recent one, and it's titled, "What Got You Here Won't Keep You Here." And for me, just that quote alone is what drew me to listen to the podcast. It's 16 minutes if you got time, but just talking about what does it look like to get out from under your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying?
One thing that I have shared with my bro Kyle is there is maintenance and then there is breakthrough.
Yeah.
And too often we are just doing maintenance on ourselves.
Facts.
Just in order to exist. You know what I'm saying? I would never denounce someone's ability to do just that. Sometimes some effort is better than no effort. But if you're really seeking change, if you're really seeking a transformation of some sort,
It's just a pivotal moment in your life.
something,
A shift.
it's going to require a breakthrough effort.
Yeah.
You cannot be doing the bare minimum or the things that you have been doing in the past expecting different results.
Yeah. And
I
that
believe
requires discipline, too.
That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
why would we continue to do the same thing? And so I actually had that realization one day working out, going through the motions. That's what my coach would call them. Like, bro, y'all just going through the motions, like at practice. Like, you're really not getting better. You're just going through the motions.
Right.
And he would always say, you either get better or you get worse, but you never stay the same. And I feel like that's so true in life. You know what I'm saying? When you wake up that day, if you're not practicing that ritual or that system that you built for yourself, more times than not, you're not getting better. And so I think it's very imperative that in all things, we have this mindset of, I have to outdo what I've done before if I'm expecting a greater return.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to go through the ringer of discomfort to get there. Because I know me physically. When I work out, if I'm like, it takes a mental shift in my brain to be like, you can push through this last one. So
sure.
Recently, we bought bikes. Here's the story behind the bikes. When we started biking, it was 15 miles, and Demetrius was like, you're just taking like a long time, so I have to stop every time you take too long to catch up, I have to stop. So my mental shift was, I'm not letting this Negro get too far from me, because then he's going to turn around and be like, you're slow, and you're not in a bad way, but.
Let me clarify why, because you're making me sound like the bad guy.
You're not the bad guy. You were doing it for safety.
No, because you didn't say that. So let me.
Okay, you say it.
Because you over here trying to make me look like a horrible person. So we got bikes, y'all, and naturally, I'm able to do things that Justine can't. Just like in other ways, she's able to do things that I can't. In this particular situation, I'm able to bike faster and for a longer duration than she can. At least when we were starting. And in the beginning, we're out in the streets, you know what I'm saying, in bike lanes, incoming traffic, all that type of stuff. And just as a man, I never wanted to get too far to where I couldn't see her and couldn't check on her if something was to happen. And so I would always stop and wait for her. So that is what she's addressing. Now I'll let her finish. Go ahead.
Okay, so the first 2 weeks of biking, it was, okay, he's in front of me, he had to stop, whatever it may be. He gets on the phone with Kyle, and Kyle goes, that's why I don't bike with my wife, bro. Like, I just can't do it. I walk into the room, and I literally said to myself, I'll be damned if I paid for this bike. And I can't bike with you, because I know me, I don't want to bike by myself, especially not being in the streets, not knowing all the rules and whatever it may be. So I was like, I'm going to keep up with him. Like, I can do this. Mm-hmm. Now, I will tell you right now, my butt hurt so bad trying to keep up with him. My thighs burned. I had to learn how to shift my gears. I had to do a lot of things. Like, I had to learn. I had to just learn and get over it.
That required being uncomfortable.
There were some uphills, literally not uphill battles like mentally, but like uphills on this bike that I was like, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. At one point we were biking and I was like, can we just not go this way so we can avoid this hill? And he was like, well, there's no way to get back home unless we go past this hill. So this is the second time I'm going up the hill, and I'm good. He's waiting for me at the top. This was maybe the third wait of this one. He's waiting for me at the top of the hill, but he's like cheering me on as I'm getting up the hill. Okay, so I feel better. This last bike ride we had last Tuesday, I think I was on his tail the entire time, and I felt great about it.
I ain't no think, you was. And there was multiple times during that bike ride, I was looking back to see like, all right, how far behind is she? You were right there on my tail, and I was like, okay, all right, she here for the first 5. I look back at 10, you're still there. I look back at 15, you're still there. And it's like, yo, you're getting stronger. Like, you're building muscle strength and endurance. Mm-hmm. I ain't no sports agent or I didn't major in that, but it's obvious due to your effort that you have made
strides to keep up, to
absolutely
be better. And that breakthrough was getting through the pain of however I was feeling in my legs and giving up on myself mentally, because I knew I wanted to keep up with you physically. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I would say that was my breakthrough moment for this last month, because this biking thing has been challenging.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not for the weak-hearted. It'll humble anybody.
Or the weak booty.
Okay. That too, I guess. And that brings me to my point of doing just enough versus transformative effort. Mm-hmm. And it obviously plays into the maintenance versus the breakthrough, just in the words alone. But, sometimes we wake up, we go to the gym, and we do just enough to say we worked out, but we really didn't push ourselves to the limit. In a sense, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, because we're going to have the expectations that, man, I've really been working and I put myself, through a difficult situation, and I should reap the results of such. But you really haven't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You've showed up. You've gone through the motions. Okay, cool, now I can go home. But you didn't put in transformative effort. You didn't dread the workout. You didn't leave with whatever. You didn't leave feeling different.
Yeah.
You may have left feeling good, but you didn't leave feeling different.
And there's a big difference
for sure
between the two.
And anybody who's been through a real workout or has experienced both sides, the difference of, all right, man, I really just I put in work, and then all right, man, I showed up. Nobody can say I wasn't here, and that all reminds me of my bro Brandon Thompson. Shout out to DB Select, doing great things in Sacramento, and also shout out to Sensei Season. He also has a podcast that is available on all platforms. I highly encourage everyone to tap in with that. Just a wise man beyond his years. But he had posted a video of him coaching his kids. And he was talking about like, yo, like this is why we run, this is why we work. We have to break through these walls. We have to push ourselves to the limit. And as a result of doing so, when it comes game time, you'll be 12 walls ahead of your opponent who's still working on wall 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but y'all have to come here. Y'all have to throw up. Like, ain't nobody in throw up yet. And these are things that obviously correlate to him being on the football field in heat, really trying to train these young men mentally and physically. And that it has stuck with me to this day because that really is the separator between the good and the great.
Yeah. There's no place that you can just show up. You can't just show up to the gym, right?
You can't just show
up.
up.
You can't
in the
just
stock
show
market.
up to work. You can't just show up to school and expect to get the grade. Like, attendance don't count for nothing, in my opinion.
Bare minimum, depending where you go to school.
God. Attendance don't count for nothing.
I feel you.
You showing up is doing the bare minimum to excel yourself. My dad has always told me that. You just can't do that. And when you have that moment of like, okay, I'm putting in effort. Okay, now I'm putting in transformative effort to cultivate that breakthrough. That's when you start reaping the benefits of what you're actually doing. And you'll actually feel like, okay, I did more today than I did yesterday. And when you come to the table with that mindset of, I'm willing to give just an inch more, I'm willing to push myself just a bit more today, that's what starts to cultivate this great person, like from within, of like, I will let nothing at all, right, stand in my way because I know what I have to do to put forth more effort to break through the wall.
Absolutely. And I think it's also what you can remove from your situation that will help you change. Like, oh man, I don't want to be on social media as much. Okay, well let me measure, and I can clearly see that, I've been off social media for 1 hour less this week. Like that's progress. Or man, I meal prepped this and I didn't have any type of sugar or sweets past 8 p.m.
Right.
Like, it's not only what you're doing, but also what you're removing that may be
That's a good one.
counterintuitive to your goal
To your
or
progress.
purpose.
Yeah. Huh. I never thought about that.
Yeah. It's not always what you do. It's what you remove or what you take out of the equation that may not be moving, pushing it forward. I don't know how you want to say it.
Right.
It's not always what you do, but it's more so what you can remove from the equation that's doing you a disservice.
Yeah.
And really having the discipline, because I believe that's one key component within all this, is having the discipline to recognize like, hey, I'm really not going hard as I could. Or man, I'm really not as focused on my nutrition as heavily as I could. Let me take a step back. Okay, I'm not having transformative effort. If a transformation is what I wish, then I must make that change. I must reposition myself and get in line with my goals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And a couple weeks ago, I had said, closing out our last podcast, or last podcast, discipline and keep a promise to yourself, because the last person you want to lie to is yourself.
Oh, for sure.
And I read that out of a book, but we were watching Last Chance U, and you and I had a conversation like, you can't teach discipline.
Nah.
No one can teach you how to discipline yourself. And it sounds crazy being a grown person. Like, you think discipline is a very adolescent term. Like, how to discipline your child.
Disciplined? Will you say yes, sir? No, ma'am.
Right.
That's not discipline
And
at all.
as you grow and as you begin to learn, like, you have to now discipline yourself, because no one's here to discipline you, nor is anybody here to teach you discipline anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to hold yourself to the higher standard of, I'm going to do this today, And that is me disciplining myself, whatever way that looks like. I know, like, workout wise, you and I came to the feeling of we're kind of just going in the gym and we don't really have like a structure to our workout. So we're not disciplined enough to go in there and burn 1,000 calories in this amount of time because there's no plan and we didn't discipline ourselves. Exactly. We didn't discipline ourselves to prepare for what we were about to do. And disciplining yourself and giving yourself that kind of like structure is what leads into that like, okay, I've now run through the like finish line tape of, okay, now I can move on to the next race, because we say what? It's a marathon, not a race.
Yeah, for sure. And I think discipline is the biggest form of self-love. You know what I'm saying? Being willing to sacrifice the now, knowing that you will enjoy the benefits of later. That's really just what it is. So don't look at self-discipline as like, oh man, I have to do this, but look at it as I get to. Because I've been in that situation plenty of times where it's like, oh man, bruh, I really want this right now. And I get it, and then I'm just pissed at myself later.
Yep.
Because I didn't have the discipline in order to turn it away, knowing that my inner self knows my goals, knows my desires.
How bad do you want it?
You know what I'm saying? And I was mentally weak in those moments and was just like, you make decisions with that lack of discipline, and you're just left to deal with those actions later. So It is what it is, man. So we just want to say, if anything within this podcast is understand the difference between maintenance and breakthrough. And that if you are truly aspiring for some type of change in your life, I don't care if it's mentally, financially, physically, if it's in a relationship, whatever, it applies to all things. It's going to require effort. Being in a relationship requires effort. Being healthy requires effort. Being financially secure requires effort. Nobody stumbles into any of these things. These aren't things that you're just dealt a great hand. You know what I'm saying? We're all...
And there's some where, you might be dealt a great hand, but for the other ones, you're going to have to try.
Yeah. For those who are not dealt a great hand, understand that effort is almost required for you to really reach new heights.
Yeah.
And with that, we just want to say, have transformative effort and be encouraged. And just be mindful of the effort that you're putting forth in regards to whatever it is that you're doing. If it's not transformative effort, then don't expect change, good or bad.
And as Watts would say, straight like that. Straight like that.
Straight like that.
Straight like that. Y'all stay safe, be blessed.
And stay tuned for next week's episode. We appreciate y'all as always. Much love.